Today, we'll talk about one member of the Islanders' top six forward group who is in a protracted slump and what the Islanders can do about it before it derails their season. All that and more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. I'm Gil Martin. I've been covering the New York Islanders for 2 decades, and I wrote the book Ice Wars on the history of the Islanders' rivalry with the Rangers from 1972 till the modern era. So glad you could join us today and talk a little Islanders hockey, and we've got a lot to get to on today's show. We'll start by talking about the prolonged slump of Jonathan Drouin, maybe some causes of it, what the Islanders can do to help get him back on track, and a few other things. But boy, you don't want this slump to derail the Islanders' success this season. We'll have our weekly farm and prospect report on all things Islanders prospects and Bridgeport and all of that. And we'll preview tonight's game against the Seattle Kraken, a 9:30 p.m. Eastern time start on TNT. We got all that and more to discuss. And let's start with Jonathan Drouin. It has not been a good time recently for the former Colorado Avalanche forward. He's played 43 out of the team's 49 games this year, was suspended for 1 game, missed 5 with injury. Has 3 goals and 17 assists, so 20 points in 43 games. That kind of puts him on pace for about, 38, 39 points over the course of a full 82-game season. He is a +3 in the plus-minus department. He has 4 assists on the power play. And he's averaging a little more than 17 and a half minutes of ice time. But here's the thing about Jonathan Drouin, just to let you know. His last goal came when the Islanders were in Utah on November 14th. He has 1 assist in the last 7 games. And it is beyond time when a guy is getting top 6 minutes. This lack of production is, needless to say, hurting the team's offense, which needs all the support it can get. I mean, the Islanders right now ranked 22nd in the league in goals scored, 25th in shooting percentage, 28th on the power play. And just to give you an idea of where we're at right now with Jonathan Drouin, Ryan Pollock and Tony DeAngelo have more points than Jonathan Drouin by 1, but neither, those are 2 defensemen, and they have more points than one of your top 6 forwards. And I mean, 3 goals and 20 points in 43 games is just not going to get it done. Now, part of the reason for the slump, in my mind, is indeed a connection with Bo Horvat and Horvat being out of the lineup. That is one of those things that definitely would affect a player like Drouin, because Drouin is a lot more of a setup guy than a shooter. And if you look, a year ago on Colorado, a team that obviously has a lot more dangerous offensive weapons than the Islanders, he had 56 shots on goal in 43 games and scored 11 goals. Now, his shooting percentage was an outrageously high 19.6%. This year, it's 5.0. And he already has 4 more shots this year than he did in an equal number of games last year with the Avalanche. My point being, he's not a shoot-first guy. He's a setup guy. And while he did have 19 goals as recently as 2023-2024, a typical season for Jonathan Drouin, if he plays 82 games, is 14 goals and 50 points. That is his 82 game average since he got into the NHL back in 2014, 2015 with the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's not a goal scorer, but he is a setup guy. So not having Bo Horvat, who is the team's by far best goal scorer, to play on his line definitely is hurting his productivity. Against Vancouver, he was on a line again, and Patrick Roy mixes and matches the lines. But he was on a line with J.G. Pageau and Simon Holmstrom. Neither one of those guys are really snipers or finishers. The best guy the Islanders have on their roster right now, as far as shooting is concerned, seems to be Anthony Duclair. But, and behind him, Emil Heineman. You know, Drouin isn't playing with either of them. He isn't playing with Anders Lee. It just seems like he doesn't have a finisher to go with the way he usually plays his game. Now, at this stage in his career, should he be able to make some adjustments? Yes. Even without Bo Horvat in the lineup, and Horvat, remember, is not only out now, he's been out a couple of times. It hasn't been good enough. And, you know, you have a few options when it comes to Drouin if you're Patrick Roy. The easy option, and when I say easy, it's easy in the sense of you don't have to think about it. It makes sense on a certain level, is you bench him. You sit him for a game, maybe 2. Let him watch from the press box every day, as we did mention this possibility when we were talking about the game on yesterday's show. Let him watch from the press box for a game or 2. This could accomplish a couple of things. Number one, and I'll tie this in with something we talked about on yesterday's show that everydayers will remember, Maxim Siplikov. If you want to get him back in the lineup, just getting him back in there for one game and letting him play 6 minutes and 47 seconds is not good. So if you sit Drouin for the next game or 2, you could let Siplikov kind of get back up to speed as far as, getting used to game speed and getting him back into a groove, and give him a little more of an extended audition to see what he could do. And maybe you're trying to highlight his possible contributions for, getting other teams interested in him in a trade, because it still makes sense to trade Siplikov right now based on where this team is at and his lack of a role on the team. So you could sit Drouin for a game or 2 and hope that kind of wakes him up. That's something Patrick Roy has yet to do. You could try to put him on a line with either Anthony Duclair or Emil Heineman until Bo Horvat gets back. And then when Bo Horvat gets back, reunite Drouin and Horvat and hope that Bo Horvat can help Drouin get out of his current struggle. But ultimately, it's up to Jonathan Drouin. And I'll say this. Yes, the performance of Jonathan Drouin this season has been a disappointment for the New York Islanders. He got off to a solid start, but really has not played well over the last, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks. But the beautiful thing about where we're at with Jonathan Drouin is, A, he can bounce back. And I do believe he has the skill. He's never going to be this elite, 50-goal scorer, 100-point guy. But again, if he can give you 15 goals and 50 points, I'll take that. But Matthew Darche signed him to a 2-year contract. There is no super long-term commitment right now to Jonathan Drouin. So, A, he's tradable if there's a team out there that wants him. Although, watching him this year, maybe I would think twice if I were an opposing GM. But you're not bogged down with the dreaded 7-year contract with a no-trade clause that was given out far too frequently under the previous regime. Jonathan Drouin was here to give the team a short-term boost. He was really brought in on a show-me deal to be a placeholder. And when the Eklunds and the Yzermans and the Danny Nelsons of the world are ready to come up, that's about when the contract of Jonathan Drouin is going to end. So if he doesn't pick up his play and doesn't play well, you could either trade him at this year's deadline, trade him at next year's deadline, or just let the contract expire and walk away. And there are guys coming up who will gladly fill that spot in the lineup and maybe boost your productivity. But in the short run, maybe try to juggle his line, which line, who he's playing with. Get him on a line with the hottest goal scorer you can. Wait until Bo Horvat comes back. Get him back with Bo or bench him for a couple of games. But let's try to get Jonathan Drouin going. He is not somebody this team is committed to long-term, but I certainly want to see him doing as well as possible while he's here. And he was off to a really solid start in October and early November. And then, November 14th for a top 6 forward, it's been way too long. When your fourth line center, Casey Cizikas, has twice as many goals as a top 6 guy, that's not a good sign. And again, got to get this guy going because the offense needs to be better. And it's something that this team is going to have to figure out in the near future. All right. We have got more to discuss on today's show. We have our weekly farm and prospects report. We'll talk about the future Islanders players, how they're doing, what is going on down in Bridgeport. We've got all that. Plus, we will preview tonight's game in Seattle against the Kraken. Lane Lambert coaching there. And for our Islanders birthday of the day, a Hall of Famer originally from Montreal who is the greatest goal scorer in Islanders history and maybe the greatest pure goal scorer in NHL history. This is an easy one, but let's see if you got it. We've got that and more next on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. If I needed to hire someone for this show, I'd go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I need. Real experience, not just a resume buzzword. Sponsored jobs boost your post to the people who are the best match for your role, and that makes a real difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to get to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. You'll get access to ad-free audio of Locked On Islanders compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. You'll get an invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat for listeners of this show. And I'm in there, so always great to talk Islanders hockey with you. I will answer your questions, comments, interact with people in there, and you'll talk with other hardcore Islander fans. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/everyday or check the link in the show notes for more information. Time for our weekly farm and prospects report. And as always, thanks to Joshua for his help. Josh, always appreciate it in putting this all together. And Bridgeport had, I think, their best week excuse me, of the season. They just played 3 games and won them all. And that is a beautiful thing. First, they ended up beating the Lehigh Valley Phantoms by a 3-1 margin on Friday. And that was a beautiful road win for Bridgeport. And the power play coming through, Adam Beckman scoring the first goal of the game, and then a 2-0 lead for the Islanders when Liam Foudy scores late in the period. And Ethan Bear gets his first goal with Bridgeport, finally healthy again and in the lineup. Islanders go on to win the game 3-1 after holding that 3-0 lead. And it was great to see that win. Then, on Saturday, the Islanders go up and end up with a 4-1 win over the Springfield Thunderbirds. Dalen Kufler gets the first goal on a wraparound. But the game gets tied shortly after that. But Camberg answers, makes it 2-1. Adam Beckman makes it 3-1, and then an empty netter by Eetu Liukas, and that is a 4-1 win for the Islanders. And then on Martin Luther King's birthday, Monday, a hat trick by Adam Beckman. 3 goals, 1 assist in this one, as Bridgeport ends up beating the Lehigh Valley Phantoms by a score of 6-2. That's 5 wins in a row for Bridgeport. And I'll come out and say this. The improvement we've seen in Bridgeport alone is a big, big difference between Matthew Darche and his regime and the way that Bridgeport was really an afterthought at best, if he thought about it at all, for Lou Lamoriello a year ago. Right now, Adam Beckman leading the team with 15 goals, tied for the team lead in points with 24. Joey Larson also has 24. So does Alex Jeffries. Matthew Maggio, 21 points. Liam Foudy has 10 goals. That places him third on the team. And the top defensive scorer, Marshall Warren, with 19 points in 25 games. And look at the standings. When you've won 5 in a row, Bridgeport is in 6th place now in the Atlantic Division. They are at AHL 500, 17-17-3, 37 points in 37 games. Last year, they were never anywhere near that point, and it was great to see this team just getting back to average is quite an accomplishment. Now, 2 games this weekend, 1 on the road, 1 at home. Friday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, it will be the Bridgeport Islanders in Hartford to to take on the Hartford Wolfpack. That is a 7 o'clock Eastern time start, and it's the Islanders farm team versus the Rangers farm team. And then Saturday at 5 o'clock Eastern time, the Bridgeport Islanders return home to face the Providence Bruins. You can get tickets for that game or watch either of these games on AHL TV. So they look to extend their 5-game winning streak with 2 games over the weekend, and kind of exciting to watch Bridgeport improve week by week. Meanwhile, taking a look at some of the other Islanders prospects. First of all, Jesse Pulkkinen had a 5-point week, 4 games, 2 goals, 5 points, so 3 assists for Worcester of the ECHL. He is playing very nicely. And then Kashawn Aitchison down in juniors for the Barrie Colts in 3 games this week, a goal, 4 assists, so that's 5 points. Jesse Nurmi had a goal in 2 games, and Jacob Kavasnika a goal and an assist in 2 games. Again, just great to see some of these prospects playing well. Kamil Bednarik for BU, 2 assists in 3 games. Cole Eiserman, 1 assist in 3 games. And again, not sure if Eiserman is 100%. He does not appear to be playing at his best as of late. But 2 assists for Sam Larila over at the University of North Dakota in 2 games. Danny Nelson at Notre Dame, 2 assists in 2 games. And how about Marcus Hogberg, a .971 save percentage in his game for Bridgeport. Henrik Tikkanen, a .947 save percentage in his game at Bridgeport. So great to see. Parker Gahagan over in Worcester, a .922 save percentage, winning his only start. So again, just some good play across the board. Dmitry Gamzin, goalie over in the KHL. Yeah, he's going to stay in the KHL for at least a few more years, but he did nicely with a .920 save percentage. And Burke Hood, playing for the Vancouver Giants, a .942 save percentage in 3 games. So some nice performances by the prospects. Great to see, and hopefully they do keep that going. And remember, we have our Farm and Prospects report every Wednesday. So make sure you stay with us for that. And thanks again to Josh for all his help in putting the package and the numbers together for me in one very convenient spreadsheet. So thank you, Josh. We have got more to get to on today's show. The Islanders will meet the Kraken tonight, 9:30. We'll talk about that game, preview it, and we'll have our Islanders birthday of the day, all that and more next on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode, and every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets you like the most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make the picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Islanders and Kraken, 9:30 Eastern time start in Seattle. The close to this 7-game Western road trip. And if you beat Seattle, I'd say that this was a successful road trip. The Kraken have been a very hot and cold team, and the Islanders are kind of catching them when they're cold. They've lost their last 4. They seem to go on winning streaks and losing streaks. Right now, they are struggling a bit. They rank 27th in the league in goals scored, so they are not a high-scoring team. Goals against, though, they are 11th in the league. They are good on the power play, 10th in the league, 23.4%, but their penalty kill next to last in the league, 31st at 71.9%. So maybe the Islanders' power play can get going as a result. Now, Joey Decord is the starting goalie. He has a 2.92 goals against, an 8.99 save percentage. Philip Grubauer, 2.45 goals against, and a 9.17 save percentage. Former Islander Jordan Eberle leads the team with 17 goals. And the young and talented Matty Beniers tied with Eberle for the team lead in points with 31. Eli Tolvanen has 29 points. So does Vince Dunn, and so does Chandler Stevenson. You look at the line combinations, Beniers, Capo Caco, and Jordan Eberle are the top line. Chandler Stevenson, Eli Tolvanen, and Frederick Goudreau are the second line. Shane Wright centers Berkeley Catton and Jared McCann on the third line, and on the fourth line, Ben Myers, Jaden Schwartz, and Ryan Winterton. On the blue line, Vince Dunn and Adam Larson are the top pair. The middle pair, Ryan Lindgren and Brandon Montour, and Riker Evans and Jamie Oleksiak are the third pair. The goalies right now, Grubauer and Decord. Matt Murray on IR. Got to keep this team. Look, here's the thing. Seattle is a better team than their record indicates. Lane Lambert is their coach. You know the Islanders. He wants to beat the Islanders. No question about that. Can't blame him. Former employer who let him go. But at the same time, this is another situation where the Islanders have to not take an opponent lightly. And like I said, Seattle, they're in the fight for the playoffs in the West. They can make it. And we'll see if the Islanders can be up for this game and play it well. Because the Islanders need... Look, they didn't play particularly well against Calgary, and they lost. They didn't play particularly well against Vancouver, but they found a way to win. It would be the right way to finish off this road trip, to play well in Seattle and get the 2 points. And it doesn't matter if they get the 2 points in regulation or in overtime, because Seattle's in the Western Conference. This is the last game on this road trip before you head home to face Buffalo Saturday afternoon. Let's end this road trip on a high note, and let's hope that the Islanders can get that done. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. This was one of the easier ones, but realistically speaking, Thursday would have been the birthday of former Islanders forward Mike Bossy. He would have been 69 years old, 6 feet, 185-pound, native of Montreal. First-round pick of the Islanders, 15th overall in the 1977 NHL amateur draft, also drafted by the Indianapolis Racers of the WHA. Rangers passed on him twice, a fact that most Islander fans are happy to remind Ranger fans about. And Mike Bossy, in all of his time with the Islanders, 10 seasons, he topped 50 goals in his first 9 years. And his off year, where he only played 63 games, he still had 38 goals and 75 points. That was the worst year of his career, and basically the bad back that eventually ended his career hampered him in that year. But boy, 573 goals in 752 regular season games, 1,126 points. A member of all four Islanders playoff Stanley Cup winning teams. 85 goals and 160 points in 129 playoff games. And here is a guy who had 44 career hat tricks. And today we're going to remember the very last hat trick of Mike Bossy's career. March 8th, 1987, Islanders at the old Chicago Stadium against the Blackhawks. Billy Smith, the Islanders goalie. Murray Bannerman, always loved his mask, was in goal for the Blackhawks. Chicago led 3-1 after 40 minutes, but in the third period, Mike Bossy, our Islanders' birthday today, scores his 34th goal of the year. Brent Sutter, Richard Crom with the assist. That made it 3-2. Steve Larmer made it 4-2 in favor of Chicago, but then Mike Bossy on the power play from Brent Sutter and Brian Trottier with Kurt Frazier in the box and Eddie Olczyk in the box. So a 5-on-3. And then late in the game with 2 minutes and 1 second left, Bossy scores his 36th goal of the year. That ties it 5-5. Brian Trottier with the assist. And then Trottier gets the game winner with 23 seconds left in regulation. Islanders go on to come back and beat the Blackhawks 6-5. For Michael Dean Bossy, he had 3 goals on 3 shots. 1 came on the power play. And he was a +1 in this game. Brian Trottier had a goal and 3 assists. But the Islanders go on to win it 6-5. 24 saves for Billy Smith. It turned out to be, as I said, the very last hat trick of Mike Bossy's career, and we lost him too early at the age of 65 due to cancer back in 2022. So Mike Bossy, arguably the greatest pure goal scorer in NHL history, he is our Islanders' birthday of the day. If you haven't done so already, it's time to check out our new Everydayer Club. If you never miss an episode of Locked On Islanders, the Everydayer Club is built for you. You get Locked On Islanders ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. So check out the link in our show notes or go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer for more information. If you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, shoot us an email, lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. You could follow the show on X at Locked On Isles. You could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR vs NYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for a little instant insight and analysis. It's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. Everydayers, we're back tomorrow. We'll have our key takeaways from this game against the Seattle Kraken. We'll sum up this road trip and hopefully end it on a happy note. So we'll do that as the Islanders prepare to return home and hopefully get Bo Horvat back in the lineup Saturday against Buffalo. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.